A beautiful morning to you and welcome to the newspaper review right here at Prime Media TV. As you all know, it is the morning view and we will be sharing our view as regards to the stories that we have to be reviewed with you today. And one of the many stories that caught our attention today is that the sports minister Enoh Shuns resignation calls over Team Nigeria's failure at the Paris Olympics. The sport minister Enoh refuses to resign despite calls for his resignation because Team Nigeria's poor performance at the Paris Olympics has sparked a lot of criticism. Team Nigeria fails to win any medals at the Paris Olympics, and the sport minister has been facing quite a number of criticism for his leadership and handling of the team. Here is the conversation that we are diving into today, and as always, I have my co-host with me in the studio to analyze the segment together with you. Nwachukwu Treasure, you're welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
I would like to hear your thoughts on this. On this table, we have analyzed the failure of the sport minister in the Olympics, considering that they spent 12 billion naira on there was a 12 billion naira investment on the Olympics, and we came back with no medals, not even a bronze, not as little as the bronze is. And quite a number of persons has been saying that for the leadership failure of John Enoh, that it is high time he quits because he cannot do it. But this man here is saying, no, why should I quit because my team has failed? There is another opportunity that Nigerians should give him benefit of doubt. So what are your thoughts as regards to this? Do you as well think the minister should resign, or we should give him benefit of doubt?
Well, there is no reason for him to resign, right? Failure is opportunity to try again, okay? And we all see that most of the administrations or most of the sectors in Nigeria currently do not have power of their own, should I say, call it power of attorney to decide or to fully function in their capacity. Talking about the 12 billion investment, in the past Olympic game, I would say if analysis is to be given about how that money was spent, it cannot be said that it was should I say fully given to him, all right? Because if the money has been fully given to him, I'm sure the federal government would have been pulling him here and there, all right? So the fact that the Nigeria they failed, does not mean they should ask him to resign. Rather, what should be considered now are the loopholes. There are causes of failure, right? What are those things that were not given attention to that could have that led to the failure? Then let there be collective effort. There are some other, aside from him being the head, does not mean he's an island. No man is an island. It's a call. It's a time for other people that works within that team, that sector, to come together and say, okay, what can we do? Even the old coach, the other ministers, former ministers and others can come together and say, okay, let's see how this thing can be done better, because a win for one is a win for all. All right. So talking about failure, that is not the only sector in Nigeria that is experiencing failure. So if they are calling for him to resign, that means every other leader or head of other department that is currently failing in Nigeria should equally be called to resign.
All right. I would like that we reference his interview on Channels Television's Politics Today on Wednesday night,
okay,
where the journalist asked him again why he hasn't resigned despite his failure. And he gave quite a number of response. And I would like that we reference to that. We'll be watching the video in a moment and we'll come back to react to some of the things that he has said. So very quickly, let's have a view of the video, then we'll come back to our analysis.
She qualified for the 100-meter event and was ready to compete, Minister. Days to the event, she discovered she wasn't registered. It's so heartbreaking for the young girl who has worked so hard. You could see it in her face. It's crying and all what have you. You, as the Minister of Sport Development, should we hold you accountable or responsible since you have not told Nigerians who did that wicked act?
Okay, as sports minister, you won't hold me responsible for what happened, as regrettable as it was. If you watched, what was playing out, immediately that news broke out, I responded immediately because It is not the responsibility of the Minister of Sports Development to register athletes. It's between the federation in that particular sport and NOC.
But you are the administrator.
In fact, at the Olympics, the sports minister almost has no recognition whatsoever. The person IOC, the International Olympic Committee, recognizes is the president of a country's NOC. Even to get privileges in terms of rights, in terms of entrances to venues and all that, it is the president of NOC that has to make that happen for you or not. As the administrator and minister, I immediately questioned it. I questioned AFN, I questioned NOC, and I said whatever they needed to do to make sure her name was restored for that race, it should be done. When it wasn't done regrettably, I still issued another statement and I said, just so we don't distract our consideration of the Olympics, after the Olympics, we're going to interrogate this and find out where the responsibility laid. That is what I should do.
So we've not found out right now.
I mean, we just returned from the Olympics. Why not? We're going to find out. Yes.
Yeah.
We're going to find out.
That was despicable.
We're going to find
and that's heart-wrenching. For someone who is prepared for 4 years, only to find out that not a fault or not of ours, she was not able to participate in the event that she's been preparing for. This is we pray she has opportunity in future to participate. What if she is not able to participate again in an Olympics? What happens?
All right, that's the John Enoh's take on one of the girls that was not registered for the Olympics. And, looking at a backstory of the sport minister himself, he has been a lawmaker for a very long time. He has been a lawmaker, I think, since 2005. And here he is, a sport minister. And this is making Nigerians to ask questions as regards to his credibility and his ability to cater for the need of our sportsmen. So what would you say regarding his background as a lawmaker and to the position he's currently holding as a sport minister? Do you think there's a correlation with a lawmaker becoming a sport minister? Will he be able to undo that position moving forward, if at all he was not sacked or he didn't resign to show his remorse for what has happened? What are your thoughts on that?
Okay. Firstly, I would say that resigning is not a sign of remorse for failure. Like I said earlier, that one can fail and still win if given another chance.
Of course.
Right now, but talking about his portfolio, his background and the position he's occupying currently. You see, we took a story some time ago on this table about how in this country, sometimes people who has the capacity to do a thing are not given the chance because they do not have the, should I say, godfathers, the people in top. Sometimes people are chosen for certain assignments by slots. All right. And it has been the issue we are having in the country that sometimes those who are competent, those who have the capacity to do a thing are not given the opportunity, even when there is need, there is expectation for victory. People are not given that opportunity to carry out or to occupy a position based on their knowledge, based on their experience in that line. Now, it is a problem. How can a lawmaker, in as much as it is possible for somebody to have knowledge about, to be knowledgeable about sports and also be a lawmaker, it is very much possible. But the thing is that for a person to occupy that position, it requires that person is focused on that angle, on the sport line. All right. So because here and there leads to nowhere. All right. So if a person, you cannot compare someone who has been functioning as a lawmaker and somebody who has lived all his life, making research all about sports and all that. There will be great difference. And I'm very sure that there are people in that capacity in Nigeria. There are people who knows more about sport activities than the man that is sitting in the position of the sport minister. So it's coming from this is an error from the federal level. It's an error from the top that this person is my person. Whether he can do it or not, because he's my person, let him sit there. So over time, we have players who are very good, but because a leading sin, a leading error, all right, a leader's error is a leading error. When we have somebody who is on top, who is overseeing the affairs of a particular place, and that person has little or no knowledge about that field, it will affect the players, it will affect the workers in that sector. So that is what we're playing out. We could have somebody who knows better than he does in that field. The position of a sport minister shouldn't be for just somebody who has little knowledge about sport. It should be somebody who is eating and drinking everything about sport.
Now, how will you react to the transfer of blames? Because what we see happening, I tried to watch some of the other interviews. This is just part of some of the things that he said on channels television on Politics Today. On other occasions, when he was asked about taking responsibility for the failure of Team Nigeria to come home with any medal, he was saying that it is not their fault. It is as a result of poor performance, and Nigerians are they are competing against people who are knowledgeable in this field, people who has been training for this Olympics all their lives. Now, how will you react to that? As regards to, he knows that these people they are competing against has been there for a very long time. And on this table, I remembered when we took that story, we considered the fact that you are competing against people who has been trained even since their birth. They have been trained for this. They are ready for the Olympics. So whatever they got now, they deserve it. Now he is now transferring. He's now transferring the blame at those people. Those people were more prepared than. So how do you think this should be justified?
Well, what he just did is what he has learned from those from the top, right? It is not the first to shift blames, all right? This current administration is blaming the former administration, all right? So it is a system under this administration. Now, but the truth of the matter is, we equally talked about how are people choosing when it has to do with international games and all that. We discovered that sometimes there are choice making, or people are choosing by slots. Okay, this person give us 2 slots from your place, or bring 4 persons and all that. Now sometimes this person they are bringing are not competent, but because this person is my person and I want this person to be in France, I want this person to be enlisted among those that will be traveling, that will be going, and because of the little benefits, you cannot tell me that the players are not competent. If they are not competent, you don't 12 billion naira is not a little money. You can't, if you're a private business owner, you can't invest 12 billion into a business you are not sure of what is going to bring as a return to you. You can't just invest in a business without certainty or guarantee, assurance of what is going to be your return. So it cannot be, the blame cannot be put on the player. We have pictures. How are the players being treated? If they are talking about competence and adequacy in terms of playing and all that, are the players the one to create platform for their training? All right, there are some of these games that the government, the sports minister and the federal government need to create room, the necessary equipment for the training. They are the one that should bring those people that they have in mind to take there to represent Nigeria. They are the one to bring them, organize them for constant training. Normally, there should be a lodge where these people will be training every day, taking care of them, all through the period of this sports, competition. But for the fact that the people cannot be the one to sort out place for training and time for training, you cannot blame the Nigerian players or the people that represent that were chosen. Because I believe if you want to check it very well, there could be people who are better than those that were chosen to represent Nigeria. How are these people chosen? So shifting blame is a thing we've seen playing from the federal level. So he's just repeating or displaying what he has learned from the top leaders.
Now we have been able to look at why the sport minister should not resign. We're looking at people giving him benefit of doubt, because the person failed today does not mean he's still going to fail tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I could remember those are the part of the main things that we settled on this table when we took the story earlier this week, looking at giving people the opportunity
To try again.
to prove themselves that they can actually do it. But then let's quickly speak on the reforms that is required to ensure that sporting in Nigeria becomes top notch.
Okay.
Because we know that Nigerian people love football.
Yeah.
There's no community that you will go to today that you will not see a field where children are playing football. I remember that I have one in my community where this man, he loves football so much that he decided to, he went to rent. He went to lease a land. He paid for it. He cleared everything, and he told parents to pay 1,500 naira for their children to come and train once or twice in a week. And he started not long after he closed down, and he was asked why he closed down. He said because parents are discouraged with the payments. They're like, why should we be paying 1,500 naira for our children to come and train, all to be running up and down the field? That is their own assumption of what the training is all about. So those children are stopped now. Sporting activities has been put on a hold in that particular for that man, even though there are other people who do that. So what reforms do you think the government can introduce to ensure inclusiveness of our children in sporting activities, that they are trained right from their formative stage, and we can see this training in them? We can see that they are ready for whatever it is that they will come about with in the future, including the Olympics. So what reforms do you think the government can introduce at this stage to ensure that sporting activities is improved on in Nigeria?
Okay, talking about reform, I will be speaking on other areas aside from the sporting. You see, now in the area of the sports, the federal government first should allow every sector to function. Let there be no, control over them. When you have appointed somebody as a minister, let it be, first of all, that whoever is sitting in that capacity is fit for that position. Let there be, people should be given position based on their capability. Now, we have a sport minister. We are not asking him to leave. But how are the affairs when money is involved? Because this 12 billion, I still maintain that it cannot be said that it was given to the sport minister to manage. There will surely be other people who has benefited from that money. We have case of about over 50 people that had to travel with them for that same sport competition. For what? All right, so we should not waste resources. If we budget 10 naira for training, let it be spent on the players. Now, let the federal government, it is the duty of the federal government to create conducive environments for players to train before any competition. For example, when I was in primary school, I happened to be among the team that represent my school and the local government in quiz and debate competition. Now, before time, the chairman of quiz and debate in that local government will always pick some best students from the schools. And anytime we are preparing for any competition outside school, we report in our trainings. There is a particular school that has been chosen for our training. That is where we report all through that period of training. They train us every day to ensure that we match with the people we are going there to meet. All right, so the federal government should have a place where whenever there is competition coming, the chosen players will be in that place, well taken care of, well fed, their welfareism well catered for, and they ensuring that nothing is distracting them from training. By so doing, these people will be fit to combat with anybody they come across. So it is the responsibility of the federal government to provide training equipment. Some of these training equipment are expensive. Sometimes there are some of these games that are foreign games. All right, and for them to be familiar with some of the equipment, the federal government need to make those equipment available during training, so that they won't get there and begin to look as though they are novice. So it is the federal government have a lot to do in ensuring that these people are properly trained. When it comes to strength, Nigerians are very strong. All right. When it comes to stamina in anything, Nigerians are fit. So, but when you train, they say proper preparation prevents poor performances. Right. So it is the duty of the federal government to ensure that the right people are chosen, not not being biased. The right, nothing like by this person is my person, whether he or she is good or not. Let her go and try. Yeah. All right. So there's nothing like my father is in the is at the heaven's gate. He shouldn't watch me go to hell. Let people who are chosen be by merit. Let it be by competence. It shouldn't be by my state, by my tribe, by my person and so the right people should be chosen for the right job. By so doing, we'll have good results. There will be no repeat of what played out last week.
Yeah, exactly. And I would also like that Nigeria also invests in young minds. There are a lot of young people out there who they love sporting activities so much, but because they don't have people to invest in them. So I think Nigeria is lacking in the area of talent sporting. I watched
Talent
something.
hunt.
Yeah, they are lacking in that area. I watched something on X of a lady who went out to rural communities to go and find out people who can actually model, people who have the body, who have the stature for modeling. If an individual can do that, the Nigerian government too can actually do that. And beyond talent sourcing, they should also ensure that there is infrastructural development to aid trainings. If you go to most of our what do they call this? If you go to most of our fields and all of that, you will see that those places are not properly taken care of. They are not there is no the structures are not in place. If you go to most of our stadiums, you'll be wondering if this is a stadium or another barracks
Lack of maintenance
where people are. So you see that we build some of this infrastructure. If you go to the National Stadium today, you will see some of these lapses and you are wondering, why is the National Stadium like this? Lack of proper maintenance. Why? Because they feel like that is not an area where they can actually make investments in. If they can make investments in other sectors, they can actually make investment. And I see that the sectors that the part of the sectors that are lacking in Nigeria is the education sector and our sporting activities. If it is not everybody who will enjoy politics, if it is not everybody who would grow up one day and say, I want to become a minister. So it is because they are not investing in these young minds. That is why you see some of our young minds, they go out there to go and represent them. One Amphili lady like that, she was supposed to represent Nigeria at a tournament in 2020. She was denied access. In that same 2020, she went to the US and she was taken. Even at this Olympics, she won medal for the US team. And you are wondering, a Nigerian winning medals for other country. Why? Because our own country did not find her out on time. So when we talk about talent hunt, we are extending it to finding out people who you see that they may not have the 100% ability in that thing, but you see that they have passion for this thing 20%. You can work on how you can invest on them. While you are doing that, you see, before you know it, they'll begin to attract global recognition. So this will be my final take on the story. We'll be going on a quick break now, and as soon as we get back, we have another conversation that will interest you. At the same time, we'd like to get your thoughts on the story. What are your take on the Minister of Sports resignation? Do you think the justification for the Nigerian team losing at the Olympics is for the minister to resign? What are your thoughts on this? Please do well to share them with us in the chat box or in the comment section of whatever platform that you are watching us from. We'll be going on a quick break now. As soon as we get back, we'll dive into another conversation. Stay with us.